that little bit more special. So maybe it starts with cheese, maybe it ends with cheese. It's just great to have even just one simple piece just to enjoy each night. What about you, Toby?
Just and switch over to phone. Okay, that should be better. Sorry, I had a bad internet connection. Always sorted. Chad, I've got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Which I was always intrigued when multiple quantities of something similar, i.e. wine or cheese. When you hear of sommeliers tasting 100 wines and people like yourself who make a living with such things, how do you keep your palate clean? Are the crackers good for this? Is water good for this to rinse in between each cheese to get the full flavour from cheese to cheese? Or?
For a while there, I was judging cheese. It was about 10 years, and I probably finished doing that about 10 years ago. So there's 10 and 10. But we used to judge for the Royal Sydney Show, and we'd have hundreds of cheeses, maybe 100, 200, 300 cheeses. I found that sourdough bread was a great refresher of the palate. Of course, a good amount of this, water, of course, is always good as well.
Yes.
But in judging cheese, we actually spit out the cheese. And tonight, no spitting out of the cheese. No
spitting out.
You're going to be
Well, I realised I'd actually cooked dinner tonight, but I've got a lot of cheese in front of me. So I'm just going to go over a little bit of housekeeping. All participants, just so you know, are on mute. If anyone has a question, please use the chat facility and Chad and I will get those questions coming through. Just so everybody knows as well, tonight's actually being recorded for promotional reasons. An email link will be sent to all participants if you want to watch it back after. We will be running a competition. There's 4 fruit and veggie boxes. Is a giveaway of 2 participants for tonight's tasting event, valued at $50 each. Chad, can you believe? Simply post a pic on Instagram of your tasting experience and use the tag @ParanMarket and hashtag SayCheese2020 tonight, and we'll announce the winner on Sunday via Instagram. Are we allowed to enter, Chad?
No, I don't think we are, but we've got all of our cheeses here, and I don't know whether everybody's hungry or not, but other than saying a big thank you to all of the traders that have helped out with these boxes, there's Chassos Gourmet Deli, there's Nahida's Gourmet Deli, the Cheese Shop Deli, the Food House Deli, and of course Pete and Rosie's, which is where I'm from. So there's 5 delis, and they've done an amazing job. I don't know if everybody has their packs, and just remember that moment when you open the ribbon and saw all of those cheeses. It's pretty good value actually, and it's a great tasting pack that we're all going to enjoy. It's enough definitely for 2 people, but I'm going to just eat a little morsel tonight because some of these cheeses I've never seen before. What about you, Toby?
Look, a lot of them are very familiar, but a lot of them I'm looking forward to discussing with you. We also want to give a big thanks out to the big group who did the packing and handled the delivery of this, which they did a great job. Now, Chadwick, should we settle in and get the glass of wine and the wafers ready? Is everybody ready to go out there? This is exciting. I've been on Zoom so much recently, but I haven't done a live cheese tasting. It's pretty cool. Lots of live cooking.
Well, I was talking to you before about it. You know, I hear about Zoom drinks, but I don't know. I don't get that. Zoom cheese, I certainly get. Do you think we should get into our first cheese?
Let's get into it. Would you like to lead in, sir?
I'd love to. The first cheese up is Taleggio. Now, Taleggio is one of my favourite cheeses. A lot of people think of it as a cooking cheese. Often they'll throw it into pasta and things like that, or I usually put a big blob of it on top of a risotto. I don't know about you, Toby, but it's just so good. It just melts and oozes all over the top. But the thing about Taleggio is it's a fantastic eating cheese as well. So I want everybody to get into it and start eating their first cheese, the Taleggio. This cheese is made in Italy. It's up in the north, and what they do is they milk the cows, they make the cheese, and then they take the cheese up into caves in the mountains. They're limestone caves, and they've built cool rooms into these caves, and they pump the air through the cool rooms where the cheese is, and that's why it gets a distinctive rind on it. You can see that there's usually a little bit of blue, a little bit of yellow, a bit of pink, a bit of all sorts of colours on the rind, and that's an edible rind too, by the way. And then it has that beautiful creamy taste on the inside. Hopefully you're enjoying it at the moment, Toby, because I'm about to have a bite. An all-time favourite. one of the tips I wanted to share too tonight is that if you have the plastic from each of your cheeses, you may not love every single cheese, but the ones that you really love, you can just take the actual label off the plastic and hang on to that, because that will give you an idea where to buy the cheese and which cheese that you really liked. And then you can take that label into the market and purchase that cheese if you want larger quantities. Are you enjoying that cheese, Toby? I can't hear you, Toby. I can see Toby's enjoying that cheese, but I just can't hear him. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the Taleggio. It is from Italy, and the first cheese tonight came from Food House Deli. I'm getting some thumbs up here as well, which is great. Toby, we'd love to get your audio back. And I'm noticing that people are loving this cheese as well. Are the crackers gluten-free? I don't think so, but you know what? I eat my cheese.
Okay, I should be good.
Good to have you back, Toby.
Sorry about that. We had a bit of technical difficulty. Okay, so we're still on the Taleggio. I've cooked with Taleggio a bunch. One of my favorite recipes was always doing set polenta fried with melty Taleggio and a bit of prosciutto di San Daniele over the top. Amazing.
And also pizzas. Use Taleggio on pizza.
Taleggio, rosemary, and potato pizza.
Yeah, out of control. What did you say? Taleggio, rosemary,
and potato pizza on white base.
Sounds
no
good.
Tomato. So coming in next, I was sort of offline for a sec there. So I'm assuming we've covered off the Taleggio, right? So next we have the Coal River Farm Triple Cream Brie. My God, bringing in the big guns. From Cambridge, Australia. This is from your place, from Pete and Rosie's, right, Chad?
Yeah, it comes from Cambridge in Tasmania. It's just outside of Hobart on the way to the airport. A little company that started off just making lots of chocolate. And a lot of people know, if you visited down that way, you probably dropped in and bought some chocolate on the way to the airport. But this cheese is outstanding. It's their first cheese that they've made that's really coming out to everybody. And I've got to tell you, this cheese is better than Dauphinoise. A lot of people have actually commented to us at the shop. It is a triple cream, and it has a beautiful mushroomy mold.
It does, right?
Is it too rich?
What would you eat that with, Chad?
Just with more cheese, with bread. You could drink red wine, white wine, champagne, beer, water, Canotto, anything with it. A triple cream will take up any particular wine. It'll go well with it. And it's just dreamy and creamy. One of the golden rules with cheese, though, is if you have a strong cheese, all your cheeses should be strong on the board. If it's a mild and delicate cheese like this one, they should all be mild and delicate. That way nothing overpowers the other ones. Are you learning something here, Bobby?
I'd love to do like a very immediately with that. I want to have truffle. I'm sort of feeling like a nice piece of beautiful bread from the market, warmed, very good quality butter, some of that cheese and some fresh truffle over the top would be insanely good.
And all I can think about is a day like today, sitting on the balcony with one of these, some beautiful fresh fruit. I've got a few blueberries here as well. In winter, you know, you could use quince paste because quince and fig paste and all the other pastes are great during winter. If you haven't got any paste, just have jam and the fruit just cuts through that creaminess.
That's delicious. So that's from Pete and Rosie's, right?
And they come in a little 200 grams. So you've got a quarter of one of those little camemberts. They're only $16.95. They're an amazing product. They're actually costing less than Dauphinoise at the moment because Dauphinoise is being air freighted. And also there's been a big push to support Australian cheeses. We are doing cheeses all around the world tonight, but there are some amazing cheesemakers here in Australia. That's from one of them.
Who all need a lot of support right now as well.
Yeah. Do you want to move on to the third cheese, Toby?
Well, I think we're off to South Australia, goat's cheese marinated in extra virgin olive oil, which sounds fantastic. That's coming from the Food House. Let's jump in there.
I'm just spreading it onto my bread at the moment. There's some lovely herbs in there as well. I can see some peppercorns in the marinade as well. And a lot of people are familiar with things like Meredith. They're probably the market leader when it comes to marinated cheeses. But this one is from South Australia, and there are so many beautiful ones out there. And I believe this one's unique to Food House Deli. What are you tasting there?
Fantastic. What am I what?
What are you tasting there, and the herbs and things like that?
I'm getting well, the extra virgin olive oil they've used in there is really great. I'm getting a strong taste of that, which is fantastic. But obviously the salty tones and are definitely coming out from that cheese, and the peppercorn gives a beautiful layer to there, right? It's very subtle though. I wouldn't say it's extreme in any way.
But it's also really soft and creamy as well. I mean, you could just spread that straight onto bread and wolf it down, or throw some tomatoes and some more black pepper on the top of it. So it's a very versatile cheese. I can see a fish coming out of the pan.
Well, we're obviously with this tasting, we're starting mellow and working up to the heavies with the cheese.
The texture of that is so creamy and so delicious. And it's probably because we've got a room temperature. Has everybody got their cheese at room temperature? Yeah, I can see some.
I was going to mention, well, I think I might have mentioned on Instagram, pull your cheeses out. Cheeses always needs to sort of, it'll open up in flavor as you pull it out. How early do you pull your cheese out, Chad? Like half an hour early?
An hour ago. It's quite a warm day today anyway. So, you know, like if it was freezing cold and 12 degrees, you'd want to take it out in the morning or something like that. But cheese is a living thing.
Yeah.
And this one here, absolutely divine. I can't say I've tasted it before, but I'm really enjoying it. So that's definitely one to go on the list. So grab your number 3 sticker, and there's something to go on the shopping list as well.
That's fantastic.
Hey,
okay. So next, Chad, we would be on to number 4, ladies and gents. Our Warrnambool 1 year aged cheddar. This is from my good friend Nahida at Nahida's Choice down at Paran Market. This vintage cheddar is based on traditional sharp English style. Well, I'm looking forward to tasting that sharp English style. Full, robust and much richer flavour than standard cheddar. It's matured for up to 16 months. Have you tasted this before, Chad?
Yeah, look, I have, and I'm just tasting it now, but it's probably, I don't always get a chance to taste all of these cheeses at room temperature. And the interesting thing about these 2 cheeses, number 4 and number 5, is they're both from the same place, but they've got different age to them. So enjoy that number 4 because it's really a good flavour. I mean, you could use that for anything, really. You could put that onto a cheese board. It's only a year old. There are other cheddars that are certainly much older as well, as we're about to see. But that's creamy, mellow. It makes you feel good. I always judge a cheese by, does it make me feel really good? And when I open up the fridge, is it calling out to me, I want to make you feel good? And this one is really easy to eat. And I think it'd be a great cheese to do, well, anything with. What would you do with it?
Well, that's got big flavour to it. I mean, that doesn't go unnoticed. I find it very intense in flavour, especially that sharp rollover kind of 2 seconds in after, I'm going to get techie here, sort of 1 to 2 seconds after you eat it, you get that real bite at the top of the palate happening there, which
it's also very smooth and creamy too.
Yeah, and I mean it's salty also. What I would eat with that, look, I'd love to see something like that with a cotoletta, like is a fancy word for schnitzel. I think something like that would go really well and cut through the fattiness of the oil there as well. What are you smiling at?
Well, I'm having a couple tonight. No, I'm not actually, but nevertheless, the schnitzel sounds good. Look, you could pop that into a sandwich. You could put it into a toasty. You could do anything with that, really. But at the same time, you could still put it on a cheese board, and you know, you could easily put that with that Coal River little camembert that we had before. It's not going to over swamp it. It's not one of those really big, extra sharp cheddars that sort of overtake everything on the platter. So I think, you know, it's got versatility plus. And, you know, if you like that one, you hang on to the little lid from that because it already tells you that's number 4. It's a beautiful Warrnambool cheddar and it's 12 months old and you can get it over at Nahida's Choice.
And so, Chad, next we're going to be tasting the same cheese that's been aged for 6 years.
Correct. Really old. The first thing you'll notice about this is the drier texture straight away. And pop it in your mouth. Oh.
I mean, yeah, the texture of that.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say chalk and cheese, but that is worlds apart from what we've just eaten.
It is cheese and cheese. But, you know, it's to do with aging. And this would be the identical cheese that's just been aged much longer. And they do change. On the back palate, I'm getting all sorts of acids as well, which isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a big flavor. It's a big sharpness. And it just says, I'm a cheddar and I'm here to get you. This is the sort of cheddar that you would wash down with red wine or maybe some port or something like that. Easily, it's a cheddar that you would serve after dinner or somewhere between courses, between a main course and a dessert, because that really gives you that punch again. And it's a great cheddar, really, for such a long age, for it to be lovingly looked after. And this is what cheesemakers do. They look after their cheeses. They tend to them like their flock. But this cheese has been well looked after and matured for a long time.
Chad, I was going to say, this is much more brittle in texture than the previous cheese. Is that due to evaporation of liquid over the extra years it's been aged, obviously, right?
Yeah, well, during that time, it's going to lose some moisture as well. Some of the cloth matured cheddars, which we'll get back to later, but they're going to lose it straight through the cloth. But it's to do with that maturation thing. And, you know, I was going to talk about, you know, buying cheese from places that are busy, such as Prahran Market, where you know you're always getting good fresh cheese. You don't want to buy a cheese that's been sitting on the counter or sitting in the fridge for ages and ages. But this one, you can tell it hasn't over dried. It still has great texture to it, great flavour. And that's the sort of thing that you should be looking for. And always ask for a taste if you can. During the pandemic, it's probably not as easy to get a taste of a cheese, of course. But at least, you know, you can always talk to your cheesemonger and ask them what they think. They're not going to say, oh, you know, you've got to buy this 5-year-old or 6-year-old cheddar to put into an omelette, because that wouldn't be appropriate. But if you're saying, I'm doing a really nice cheese platter, it's for my best friend, it's her birthday or something or other, they might say to you, hey, you know, what about getting something special like this?
Well, I think when I say this to all people when buying anything, one of the great things about Prahran Market is all the people who are selling there are passionate about their craft and are very knowledgeable, and you can talk to them. Now, we've got a couple of questions here, pretty interesting. Someone asked, are crystals a good thing in aged cheese, Chad?
That's sort of a yes and no. There's this amazing feel that when you actually get that little crunch, it often happens in Gruyères and some of the other aged cheeses like aged Goudas that might be a couple of years old and things like that. There's this really nice feel of that crunch. And I do get a lot of people come in and they say, can I have one of those cheeses that has that crunch in it? Well, they don't always have it. It's to do with how it was stored, how long it's been stored, not necessarily back to the flavour. But I've got to admit, I do like that crunch sometimes.
Someone's also asked if these cheeses, once they've finished the tasting, if they need to be thrown out. The answer is no. You can definitely refrigerate them and continue eating them for as long as they last, as I will be for sure.
Yeah, for sure. There won't be any wasted cheese in my household.
No wastage at all. And I always do this lovely thing when I've got those, if there are any bits of cheese, you can get them into a pasta sauce or something like that, which is lovely to do.
Yes.
Chad, moving on, I think we're on to number 6.
Yeah,
Buffalo Blue from Gippsland, also from Pete and Rosie's.
All right. Well, this is a cheese from a company called Berries Creek Cheese Company, and they make a number of blues. And we chose this blue because it is so unique, and I'm just chucking it onto my bread at the moment. It is a whiter coloured cheese because of the buffalo milk. So that's one of the ways, you know, if you see a white cheese, it's going to be either goat or sheep or buffalo. And this blue cheese is just sensational. It comes from Gippsland. It doesn't come from very far away. You know, we have a lot of people that say, I want to buy Santa Gur all the time. We've been actually suggesting, well, why not try something a little bit different that comes from Gippsland, from our own region? And the response that we're getting from this is just amazing. And it is a beautiful, beautiful blue. Hopefully everybody's tasting at the moment. I've got to have a little taste myself, Toby.
That's really mild as far as blues go.
But
try this. My wife Georgia isn't really into blues, but try that, G. We'll see what the jury comes back with.
That nice sort of tang from it as well, and that's because of the buffalo milk. I can't say I've seen any other buffalo blues around. You know, something like Roquefort is definitely, it's a sheep's milk cheese. And I know there have been some goat blues around. I remember Strzelecki Blue, which came from Gippsland Cheese Company, or Tarago River. I don't think that's made anymore, but people have experimented around with different milks. But this one is just on the mark, I think. The company also makes another cheese called Tarwin Blue, which is a cow's milk cheese. Very similar. It's a gorgonzola, but it's similar to a lot of other ones. And I just thought I'd choose this one because it is very outstanding and it's just something a little bit different. So anytime you come down, you can bring along your number 6 sticker or something like that, and you know what to get. I'm sure other people in the Prahran market also keep it as well, but it is absolutely divine. I'm just enjoying that. I'm going to have a little bit of water now as well. If you want to have a wine with a blue cheese, try and choose something really sweet.
I really enjoyed that. That was...
Yeah. If you have a sweet white wine, you know how people give you that little bottle of and you go, what am I going to do with this little bottle of wine? It's a sweet wine. It goes with blue. So you end up with the salt and you end up with the sweet as well. And anytime you have those two combinations together, it is sensational. And of course, fruit goes really well with blue cheese as well because it just cuts through that creaminess. What's our next cheese? Toby? I've lost Toby for a moment, but I have number 7 in my hand at the moment. It's a beautiful Comté, and this has come from Rivoire Jacquemin, and it's Comté from France. There's a number of Comté brands out there, and it's up to you to choose one that you like and to, you know, try all different Comtés. Certainly, Comté is a French Gruyere. So the Swiss probably invented Gruyere, but the French also made it their own as well. Comté will always be unpasteurized and it's made out of cow's milk and it is an Alpine cheese. I'm just smelling this one. If everybody has their cheese there, have a little smell of it because it has that beautiful sweetness to it in that aroma there. I can see everybody smelling at the moment. That's a beautiful, beautiful aroma. And Comtés are all sorts of ages, usually released at around about 12 months to 18 months. It's not always to do with the age, it's to do with the maker and the cheese. And this is a beautiful Comté. It's a relatively mild one. It has a lovely rind on it as well. Don't eat the rind. You don't have to eat the rind on a Comté, but that's so nice and sweet. I know people use it for toasted sandwiches, but it is a great after dinner cheese. Once again, not too strong. It would go with any of the other cheeses that we've had so far. Maybe not with the Warrnambool 6-year-old cheddar, but otherwise it would probably fit in on a cheese board quite well. What would you use Comté for, Toby? Yes, Toby, I'd love to hear what you'd use Comté for. Other than just sniffing. That's what I'm doing. I'm just...
I mean... This connection's so bad. Hey, Chad. Sorry, I've got a bad internet connection here.
That's because everybody's watching a streaming service at the moment, other than us, but nevertheless. Comté is a great cheese. And, you know, I suggest that you use it. You can melt it. It will stretch as well. People traditionally use Comté in things like fondues as well. And that's also great. You'd mix it with a couple of other cheeses.
Yeah, I think one on a little fried rosemary potato would be fantastic. Chad, somebody asked before, how many years are on the Comté, do you know?
This one, I'm not too sure because I'm not familiar with this particular maker, but it's at least a 12-month cheese. And you've got to remember, these cheeses are made up in the mountains. What is cheese? Cheese is a way of storing milk. You milk your cows, you've got excess milk. You can only have so many banana smoothies in the morning. So you're going to go, okay, I'm going to store my milk as a cheese, a product I can use later. So you might make some bocconcini, in which case you will use that in a few days' time because it's been sitting in water. Or you might make a brie, in which case it's going to take, I don't know, 12 weeks for it to mature, grow mold on it and do all sorts of things with it. You might make a cheddar, in which case you're going to wait at least a year before you really want to start using it. So you're storing your cheese for longer periods. So this is usually made out of spring milk.
Yeah.
The milk is bountiful, and then it's a way of storing that milk for at least a year, and then you start eating it.
Okay. A few people have been asking, just a little bit of housekeeping. The tasting notes will be released, I believe, with the video tomorrow. So you'll be able to download all of those. Chad, I think we're probably up to number 8, which I know is the moment a lot of people have been waiting for, which is the truffle parmesan or dip.
I see people have actually already tasted this.
I think there could be some empty tubs around.
Now, I had a little taste of this on Tuesday because I popped over to Nahida's and I had a little taste. And this is an unusual dip because it's actually made out of cheese. So it's most dips are usually made out of cream cheese or out of yogurt or out of a mayonnaise sort of base. And this one is actually just made out of cheese. I'm going to have a little taste of it now.
I've tasted this before. It's really good. Do you know I used to make a truffle and parmesan? This may sound a bit weird to people, but back in the day we did a truffle and parmesan ice cream that was savory.
Wow.
That was served with crostini and grissini. It was in Cafe Cucina, like in the 90s, and it was fantastic.
I don't think I'd chuck this one in the freezer though. This is made out of goat and sheep cheese. So it has got that tang to it. And then the truffle comes in on the top of it. I would love to put this on top of a lovely steak and just let it ooze all over the steak. But equally, you could just take this with some freshly made pasta and just stir it through the pasta. I don't know whether you need it
through.
Sorry?
So you just toss spaghetti directly through here, no heat or anything. Just rely on the heat from the spaghetti would be fantastic.
Yeah. So there'd be lots of things. And once again, it's up to your imagination if you want to do other things with it. But straight away in my head, I'm just thinking of that straight on top of a steak or just stirred through pasta. But one of the easiest meals. Sorry?
On top of steak would be fantastic.
Yeah. I'm going to hang on to this, and I can tell you this is going through my pasta tomorrow night. Once again, if you like that one, go and see Nahida's. Take the number 8 with you, and at least you know what you're buying. It is their most expensive dip, but it's because it's made out of cheese. And also they use black Italian truffle. So that's another reason why it does cost a little bit more.
Fantastic. And that's made here in Melbourne by Nahida's family, I believe, and employees who are really passionate about their craft. Chad.
Notice somebody asked how expensive it is. I think if you were buying a larger tub, I think it's from memory about $28. So that would be one of those small but deepish tubs. But, you know, I don't think you need a great deal of it because the flavour is cool and it'll carry all the way through. Toby, what's our next cheese coming up?
Our next one is latte. Can you pronounce that, Chad? I bet I'm good at the Italian pronunciation, but
Artisan Le Rouge.
Well, I was going to say it exactly like that, and I thought I might get shot down, you know. So
no. Lartisan is amazing cheese because it's made here in Victoria. Now they have just recently relocated. They've moved down the west coast of Victoria, but they used to be in North Geelong. And I used to tell people this is one of the best things to come out of Geelong, other than the Princess Freeway back to Melbourne. But Le Rouge was being made in North Geelong. There's a little organic area there, and this is an organic cheese. And it's made, I'm just trying to remember the cheesemaker's name. Look, I can't think of it. I'll look it up soon. But L'artisan Le Rouge is a washed rind brie, organic, of course. And I'm just smelling the rind. I probably prefer my wash rind to be even gankier than this. And you can leave this out for longer and you'll start to get a bit of a woofy smell about it. But this is one of my favourite Australian products.
Chad, in my notes here, we have semi-soft cow's milk cheese washed in annatto mixture. What is that?
Annatto
is that a brine?
No, well, annatto is a plant extract. They've been using it for, let's say, 400 years or so in England, certainly, and it's used to help preserve cheese. But think of red Leicester. think of double Gloucester. They're orange coloured
Right.
cheeses. And
Yeah.
originally it was used to help preserve the cheese. The French use annatto on the surface rinds of usually soft cheeses. So there's quite a number of them. And you'll see that orangey colour on them. And it's a decorative one. But this is, and also Shropshire cheese. Do you know there's Stilton and then there's Shropshire? Shropshire has
Yes.
annatto in it, so it's an orange coloured Stilton.
Awesome.
I do love this one. And La Rouge is a sensational Australian cheese once again.
What's been your favourite cheese so far, Chad?
I could say everything from my day, but I can't say that. Look, I love Taleggio. I love La Rouge. I love the blues. The two cheddars being different ages is just a great contrast. And of course, Comte is just, you know, a classic French cheese. We're going to taste another Gruyere a little bit later on. But Coal River, I can never go past it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody comes
I'm
over.
having a good time. Is everyone having a good time? Amazing.
I'm seeing
So-
some nodding. Oh, I've got the thumbs up as well. It's good to see too. But yeah,
Looks like
look,
we're heading to Cyprus next.
sorry, Toby?
It looks like we're heading to Cyprus next.
Well, we are. Which cheese is this one?
We're going to jump onto a halloumi
Mm-hmm.
from Chasso's Gourmet Deli. It's a firm brined white cheese made with a mixture of goat and sheep milk for this one. When eaten uncooked, this cheese has a strong salty flavor and chewy texture. But of course, we all know halloumi is also great for cooking.
Do you know what I
Here we
really
go.
like about halloumi? Is when you eat it
What do
fresh
you really
like
like about
this, is that you get that squeakiness on your teeth. I love that
What does
squeak.
that come from?
I think it's because it's been in brine and it's quite an acidic, reasonably young cheese as well. But I love that squeakiness going on the teeth. You know that that's really halloumi. This is a great flavoured halloumi, and I love cooking it in a pan. I don't usually use oil. I just throw it in, let it melt a bit. In summer, all summer long, I like doing halloumi salads. So you just warm it up either in a pan or on the barbecue. But what do you use halloumi for? Because you've got a lot of uses for it, Toby.
I did a dish a few years ago. It was actually a Christmas dish for UK for something. But a good little pro tip when you're cooking this, by the way, is to get a little bit of baking paper, the heat-proof stuff, and wrap that around, especially if you're cooking it in a pan. And then I normally get it off and allow it to rest just for like so that cheese can just set, and the heat can kind of, you know, make its way through. But funnily enough, this goes quite well with cranberries, I found.
Wow.
Have you tried that before, Chad?
No, I haven't. What, warm or cold?
Oh, room temperature, like dried cranberries. So I did a salad a few years ago, funnily enough, on a boat where I like cooked this in a pan, and I did a salad of like room temperature, but braised fennel, some rocket leaves, some mint, some cranberries in there. This cheese was fantastic. Beautiful.
I like the fact that Chelsea likes to fry it with honey. That sounds fantastic because once again, you're going to get the saltiness of the cheese and you're going to get the sweetness of the honey. Also, how can you tell a good halloumi from a bad halloumi? Look, that's a hard one to do because really most of us are going to melt halloumi. So you're going to be able to see which one's the best, probably through trial and error. Look, I can tell already, just looking at that texture too, you can see all the streakiness through it, that it's going to melt really well. So, you know, I'm gonna try cooking this up a little bit later on. I haven't got time at the moment because apparently we're doing a cheese tasting and there's still some more cheese to go. But yeah, look, it's once again, it's an imagination thing. You could use halloumi warmed up for anything.
But I think the important thing for me always with food is there's always suggestions of what to do, but it really comes down to your own palate of what you like. What I find will work well with halloumi may not be your cup of tea. And so it's always important to trial and error.
There's no rules.
There's no rules. There's no rules.
Do you do very much Greek cooking at all, Toby?
Sorry, do I do Greek cooking?
Very much Greek cooking, yeah.
Well, it's used obviously a lot in Greek cooking. I haven't done loads of Greek cooking. I've cooked in Greece for a couple of TV shows a few times, and I love the cuisine over there. I absolutely love it. So simple, and in many ways, not dissimilar to Italian food, where it's relying on amazing quality ingredients and not doing too much to it.
Yeah, and I suppose if you're in Greece, you'd be getting beautiful halloumi fresh every day because they're milking a lot of sheep there, and there's nothing like feta or halloumi for breakfast as well. So it is a good breakfast early morning cheese as well. It sets up your palate with that salt, and it wakes you up and makes you feel good as well. I'm just thinking
veggie burgers also.
Yeah, eggplant just covered in halloumi as well. It's a fantastic melting cheese. So if you like halloumi, it's number 10, wasn't it? Yes, number 10. And you've got that sticker, and you can go to Chassos and get that halloumi, that particular one. Take it home, experiment with it, try it on all sorts of different things. Certainly on the barbecue, it's fantastic as well.
Definitely, yeah. Chadwick, next we have coming up the West County Cave Aged Truckle Cheddar from England.
Oh my goodness. I want you to pick up your cheese. And yes, you can handle your cheese. Smell the rind. What does it smell like? Can you smell? You haven't opened yours yet, Toby. I want everybody, though, that has this cheese in their hand at the moment to have a little smell of the rind. Now, it smells, I don't know, it smells like a cave to me. This is the smell of the maturing room. Earthy, I've heard. Leather, I've heard. But that is the smell of the maturing room that these cheddars have been left in. And it's a reasonably small round cheese, this truckle, and they're generally made for Christmas. They're usually about that round and about that high, about 600 grams or something like that. And it's the sort of thing that I would give to Toby as a Christmas present and say, here you are, here's my beautiful cave-aged truckle, and I hope you enjoy that for Christmas. But this one, cloth matured cheddars are a little bit different to the ones that we tasted earlier. They've been matured over a long period of time, and this one has been matured for an awful long time. It's about 2.5 years old, and it's going to be a complex flavour, and it's going to change flavours in your mouth at the same time. Would you be able to throw some wine over that?
That's definitely musk on it. It tastes like a basement.
Yeah. And then there's also this lovely lingering aftertaste as well that goes with it. So that to me says, have another sip of wine, a little bit more cheese, a bit more wine, a bit more cheese, open another bottle. We're not going home.
As you mentioned that, Chad, I'm starting to think these cheeses, as we get down to the business end, these cheeses are not cheeses I would necessarily be matching with food and cooking with. They're almost too complex some of the time. And I think a lot of the complexity might get lost if you start throwing too many flavors at it. Wine, not so much. Wine works and complements. But yeah, you don't want to be melting that over a schnitzel, as we spoke about before. Wouldn't do it justice.
Well, some people do toasted sandwiches with the best cheeses. I'm getting from the aromas, I've got earthy, leather, Cornish coast, wet cave, socks, and feet. So it's whatever you think that rind smells like. And somebody also asked whether it was 2.5 or 25. It is 2.5. It's 2.5 years old. The reason it was a weird cheese too, because these were meant to arrive last November. They arrived in February. So the cheese importer that we deal with went, well, what are we going to do with these truckles? And I said, well, I really like this cheese. So it's not as ridiculously priced as it should be, but it tastes really good. And we've been selling it all year. So we're up to about 2.5 years now. So it's only getting older all the time. But I don't want to bang on about my own cheese all the way through this because we've got another, and we've got another one of mine coming up. But all the cheese.
That we're off to Switzerland next, Chad.
Yeah, we were talking about Gruyere before, and this one is probably my all-time favourite Gruyere, but there are lots to try. And once again, you come to the market and try them all out and see what you think about them. This cheese is, hang on, I haven't held this one up. It's number 12. It's called Haller Hocker, and that means cellar held or cellar matured. And oh goodness, that smell is quite amazing. Have you smelt that one, Toby? I've lost Toby again for a minute, but I'm just cutting some off here. You don't need to eat the rind on this one. This is a mature Gruyere from Switzerland, and it's my favourite winter cheese. Some people would say, oh, you can't put that with a cheddar, but you can actually put it with that lovely cheddar that we just had before. And the two actually work together because one will make the cheddar taste sweeter, so the Halla Hocka will, and the cheddar will make the Halla Hocka taste tangier. Pretty rich, isn't it? It's a rich, rich cheese. And everybody has about 50 grams there. I sort of want to eat it all, but you can't eat heaps and heaps of this cheese. So you don't have to buy a big piece of aged Gruyere, but it's so satisfying. To me, it says, I'm home, it's winter, and I'm happy to be here. And it is one of those cheeses that calls out from the fridge and says, I will make you happy. Do we have Toby back to find out whether he likes it? Somebody is saying that they love the nose on the aged Gruyere. That's my nose. No, that's the Gruyere. And also, how do you know when it's good to eat the rind? Most cheeses do have a rind on them because they're put into maturing rooms. There's not that many rinds that you really want to eat. Obviously, in a brie or a camembert, you want to eat the rind because that's part of the experience. You're getting the mold flavours and you're also getting the paste on the inside as well. So use your own judgment. We have a Gruyere that's been washed in Pinot, for instance, and that actually you can eat with or without the rind. And when you eat it with the rind, it's actually quite interesting to get the bitterness of the Pinot. Good to have you back, Toby.
I'm so sorry. God knows what's going on with the internet.
I don't know. You've probably got 17 movies on a big screen just playing at the moment, but it's good to have you.
Nothing of the sort, Chad. Only you, Chad.
All right. Did you enjoy that Gruyere?
The Gruyere is fantastic. I lived in Switzerland for a period of my life and cooked over there and have really fond memories. The Gruyere is one of my favourites for sure. So, Chad, while I was mucking around offline, trying to get back online, did you cover off on the Gruyere?
I talked about it and how much I love it. What do you like to use Gruyere for?
Look, Gruyere for me is when I worked in Switzerland, we just always did it with Rösti, homemade Rösti. Very, very simply, a little bit of egg, bit of Gruyere, bit of Rösti, perhaps some sausage. Sometimes using it with fondue also, but yeah, I love it.
As I say, I like to come home from work when it's cold and you're wet,
yeah,
and tired, and you just need something to make you feel really good. It's a great comforting food. You can eat some of it. Maybe you'd want to chill it during summer and enjoy it as well. But it is a big, big flavour. So as I say, you don't need to have very much, and you'll get all different Gruyères. And did you notice the difference between the French Gruyere, which is the Comté, and the Swiss Gruyere, which is where it was pretty well invented first up?
Really different.
Mm-hmm.
Really different. I mean, I found the Comté to be much more mellow in flavour.
There are also eye cheeses. I don't know whether you can see here, but see those little holes there? Raclette, Gruyere, Emmental, even Jarlsberg, and a number of other cheeses are called eye cheeses. You can't always see the eye because they're not always present. Just in my piece here, I just happened to have it. Well, I was just lucky there. But yeah, they're all made from a stretch curd, and then they're pressed and then they're matured over a period of time. This cheese is about 18 months old and it tastes great. Do we have another cheese coming up? We're not through 14 yet, are we? It looks like I have got another cheese coming up because I've lost Toby again. We have a Spanish sheep's milk cheese with black truffle. Well, truffle has been all the rage, and sheep's milk is always great with truffle because you're getting the tang and also you're getting the flavour of the truffle. I don't know about your piece, but my piece is full of truffle, and this one's from, let's see, where's this one from? It's from the Food House Deli as well. It's from Spain as well, and I'm just looking at the rind here. Oh, I can smell the truffle. And it looks pretty damn good. Sheep's milk is often put with truffle. I know of quite a few pecorino, not pecorinos, manchego with truffle as well. Let's have a little taste of this one. That's pretty good. You're back there, Toby. You're moving around a bit, but you're back.
Look, I think I've bounced you guys between an iPad, computer, and now I'm on an iPhone just to try and get some stability here.
That's a pretty good cheese. You know, I don't know about you, but I probably wouldn't have this as an after dinner cheese. It'd be
Yeah.
great before dinner.
Yes.
Uh, or let's say if you're doing a big board, a big lunchtime board, because it's sort of got that tanginess from the sheep's milk. You know, you'd have one of those boards with bread and dips and a few other things and tomatoes and whatever. And it's a great lunchtime sort of thing. Or, you know, as I say, before dinner. Is there anything else that you can think of to use this cheese for, Toby?
Look, I mean, I think I'd almost pair that with a summer salad, like just some very light summer salad with some of that just crumbled over the top of it. I think it'd work really well. Nice piece of charred bread from the market, some beautiful leaves, herbs, and some of that just crumbled over the top with a simple vinaigrette. I think it'd work really, really well.
Yeah. Somebody has actually said what makes the difference, what makes a cheese good for before or after dinner. And I suppose that's really just your preference. I think when you're looking at tangier, sort of sharper cheeses, this one being, you know, a 6-month-old cheese, they're probably a little bit lighter and they're probably better for lunch, for before dinner to get your palate set up rather than for after dinner where you're looking for something, you know, to really hunker down and then throw back a few red wines on top of or something like that. What about you? What do you think about with the cheeses before or after dinner?
For me, look, I always like to have cheese after dinner myself. Generally, it's an after dinner thing. Otherwise, I eat too much, and there's no room for dinner ever if I start with cheese before. But generally, yeah, I like to go quite heavy cheeses, which is probably what we're about to get into very shortly. Next, actually, Chad, we're heading into number 14. We've got the King Island Black Wax Cheddar. Intensity of this cheese is rated at 5, as it has a strong
Have you
flavour that.
been to King Island?
Matt, do you know, Chad, I was supposed to be going to King Island and Flinders Island, and I've never been, in answer to your question. I was supposed to be going over for the Flinders Island Culinary Festival pre-COVID, and everything got shut down, obviously. So the short answer is no.
Sorry, I'm just chasing this King Island Black Wax Cheddar. I've been there a number of times, well and truly before. King Island was bought by another company, but they still continue the tradition of making their signature cheeses. This is one of the big signature cheeses, King Island Black Wax. I remember it from when I first started the deli 28 years ago. There was the red wax and the black wax, and there still is those two cheeses now. Red wax is usually about 12 months old, 9 to 12 months old. Black wax is around about 2 years old. And you can feel the structure of the cheese, the way that it crumbles sort of in your mouth as well. Big flavour, still made traditional ways. King Island is one of the purest places on earth. They're battered by the Roaring Forties. There's a cheese that King Island calls Roaring Forties, which is a blue cheese. But the water and the rain that comes in from the Great Australian Bight is just one of the purest and simplest places on earth. Some people have said to me, look, you know, if you've got the choice between going down on a plane crash and visiting King Island, you've got a chance of maybe surviving the plane crash. But at the same time, King Island is a beautiful, beautiful place. Lots of cows, lots of people, not that many people, sorry, I should say. They drive around and they leave their cars unlocked because it's on an island. And it's run by wind farms and they produce some of the most beautiful beef and, of course, great cheese as well. So King Island Black Wax Cheddar is definitely one of my favourite all-time cheddars, and it's been this consistent for so many years.
It's amazing flavour builds. I popped it in my mouth, and over a period of about 5 seconds, I'd love to know if you guys agree, but it just goes uphill with intensity very quickly, and then it kind of, for me, plateaued second mark, and then drops off quite quickly.
And also, I got a little bit of crunch in mine, so some people might have that as well. It just depends on where the cheese has been cut, but that's a great cheese. And you know what? It's been around for a long time, and there's a reason because of that, because it's well made and it tastes really good.
That's fantastic. I'm a big fan.
Hey, we've travelled around quite a lot of countries here. We've been to Cyprus. We've been to a lot of Australia, which is great. We've been to England, Switzerland, Spain. Where else have we been, Toby? We've also been to France.
Yeah, France, you've covered it. We hit Italy with the Taleggio. First off the bat, Chap, what was your favourite cheese out of all of them?
Look, it would change every day. But I do love Le Rouge, the little wash rind one. I'd probably like mine a little bit riper, a little bit gooier. Look, it's too hard.
Yeah.
If it was
Uh,
colder
I,
day, I would say Halahoka, because if it was really cold outside, but it's a beautiful warm day, maybe the Brie. And also, what about that marinated cheese that we had earlier on? I'm trying to remember which one it was. It was the Australian goat's cheese marinated in extra virgin
yeah,
olive oil.
that was fantastic. And of course, the truffle and parmesan from Nahida's is delicious.
And also the King Island Black Wax, which we've all still got tasting at the moment. That's the length of the cheese. So people will describe how long is the cheese, and that cheddar I'm still tasting now. So some are really long in flavour. And of course the Comté was great as well. I don't think we've done really badly here. Somebody's talking about cheese and whiskey and they're just saying, yes, please.
I heard somebody's just popped up saying their favourite cheese was the Comté for sure.
Yeah.
I think the Comté was up there with me as well. I mean, I really enjoyed all of them also. I'm with you. They're all good.
A very unusual platter tonight, having 14 cheeses. I wouldn't advise that if you're having friends over to have 14 cheeses. This is really just for us to all get to know some cheeses from around the world. You can get 14 cheeses if you want. Maybe you've got a big gathering after the lockdown is finished.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody else got a favourite? I noticed Casey saying Taleggio.
Yeah.
Let's see. Russell and Kelly are saying, give me 3 cheeses for after dinner platter, please. 3 cheeses, that's very easy. I'll see you at the shop, Russell. Did you like my Gruyere joke? Oh, what about the fondue joke? I got this given to me today, and it is absent making the heart grow fondue. You've got one as well? I was going to wear this tonight, Toby. I thought I could easily wear this and then it doesn't matter where my cheese goes.
So we've had Michael has popped up, and truffle parmesan was his favourite, and Camille has said number 13, and then we've got do you know, such a mix across the board there. It's like I think we've got 100 and something people online. I think the curation of the cheeses is a big winner here because they've really hit high end with everybody, really.
But you know what is? Everybody has maybe one of their favourites, which is great. And keep on exploring that, but also taste other ones as well. But whenever you come down to the Prahran market, it is, you know, like I keep a certain range of cheeses. We all can sort of have slightly different ranges of cheeses, and we buy from different people as well. So, you know, it's all about exploring and finding out what suits you. As I said earlier on, you want to be buying cheese from a busy place. Well, the whole of the Prahran market is busy. So you're not buying cheeses that have been sitting around for ages. And that's not to the detriment of small cheese stores that are standalone. As long as they're selling good popular brands, at least you're always buying a good quality and fresh cheese. But, you know, look at the condition, ask the cheesemonger, people like myself and all of our staff and all the other traders in the Prahran market that sell cheese, ask them about the condition of the cheese, because sometimes you might say, I want blah, blah, blah cheese. And if they say to you, no, I don't think you should have that, that's the advice coming from the person that does that. Now, if I wanted advice on accountants, I'd go to an accountant. If I want advice on law, I'd go to a lawyer. If I want advice on cheese, you go and talk to the people at the delicatessens in the Prahran market, and they'll try and figure out which is going to be the best one for you.
Here. Chad, somebody just popped up and said, thank you so much, Chad and Toby, for tonight. Can I thank you, Chad? And I really apologise for the internet connection, guys. It's I can't help it. It's this area I live in, but I apologise for that. But Chad, thanks so much for bringing your knowledge to the table tonight, and thanks for everyone involved here tonight. And I it was a lot of fun. It was awesome.
Also, don't forget, if you want to enter the competition, 4 fruit and veggie boxes to give away to participants. All you need to do is post a pic on Instagram of your tasting experience and use the tags @Prahran Market and hashtag SayCheese2020. And somebody's going to win, well, 4 people are going to win those fruit and veggie boxes. So I think that's important. There's also something happening on Saturday as well.
Yes, yeah, Saturday. A Cheese Toasty Invitational coming up this Saturday, which is going to be online. Registrations are still being accepted via the website. Judges this year, we've got a little person, may or may not have heard of him, Gary Megan from MasterChef fame, and State of Origin. We've got Anthony Femi, the market's own from Mankaramanga, and Darren Purchase, who's cooking royalty, an amazing chef. This year's talented chef lineup, we have Jerry Mai, we've got Ralph Rashid, who's from Beatbox Kitchen, Philip Varkos and Simon Tui as a host. And the whole event kicks off at 3 p.m. So that's a little fun event we came up with a few years ago for the market to, everyone loves a cheese toastie, right?
Yeah,
So,
and it's up to you to create your own cheese toastie, but this will probably give you a few tips as to the sort of creations that people are coming up with. I also want to thank the other traders that I work with, I suppose, because the market is a community. Certainly at Chassos Gourmet Deli, at Nahida's Gourmet Deli, at the Cheese Shop Deli, and of course at Food House Deli as well. So they've been busy making these cheeses possible and getting them all cut up and put into containers to get them all out to you on time. So, you know, I really want to say a big thank you to everybody else that's been involved in it. And keep those numbers, bring those numbers in with you and come and buy the cheeses.
And just a couple of last shout outs. I've already said thanks to you, Chad, but also thanks to Steph Mullen, Rachel Watson, everyone who's organised this event in the middle of a pandemic is amazing. So thank you so much. And also thank you, most thanks to everybody who's jumped and signed up, bought cheese from the market, supported Param Market and got involved with this. So thank you very much.
I'm also getting messages saying more of these cheese tastings. So we will talk to all of the people that are involved and maybe we should have this on a more regular basis. It'd be great.
Maybe not every night, but guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe. Wash your hands. We love all of you. Bye.
See you at the market. Bye.
See you at the market.